In this interview series we call The Circuit, TechPoint serves up the human stories behind the major tech headlines in Indiana. I am your host, Roger Schumann, Senior Relationship Manager at TechPoint. Today we talk to Yao Aning, CEO and founder of Malomo. Malomo is disrupting the e-commerce industry by empowering retailers with the ability to market to customers during the shipment process. In this episode, we talk about the motivation behind founding Malomo, the marketing opportunity they saw in shipment tracking, and Yao's entrepreneurial journey. Hi, I'm Roger Schumann with TechPoint. Thanks for tuning into The Circuit. Our guest today is Yao Aning with Malomo. Thanks for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First off, for those not familiar with Malomo, can you describe it at a high level?
Yeah. What
the company does and the customers you serve?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Malomo is a shipment tracking platform for e-commerce businesses. So we work with growth stage retailers that sell online directly to their customers, and we help them manage the delivery experience. We kind of level the playing field for merchants who compete against the Goliath that is Amazon, delivering that really crisp, clean customer experience around delivery.
Yeah, and that was actually a question I was going to ask you with regards to Amazon. Do you create something that allows them, you said to level the playing field, to have an experience that allows them to compete with companies that are doing business on Amazon?
Yeah, so if you think about Amazon, one of the things that they've succeeded at in a really tremendous way is they drive a ton of customer loyalty, and they do that predominantly through their Prime program, where like you subscribe and you get you get this amazing experience around delivery, free shipping, free returns, and they are hyper transparent with you about where your package is en route. And those three things really help drive that desire within consumers to want to buy with them again, because they make that so frictionless to do. The merchants that we work with are traditionally not selling on Amazon. They're selling direct to consumer through their own website, and they don't have the technology or tools to connect to this global delivery infrastructure where they can track packages at scale to every single customer and alert them of where their order is in transit and keep them up to speed on what's going on. And so we help them provide that customer experience to help them compete with Amazon and drive more loyalty in their business.
Okay, so these are small to medium-sized businesses.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And then, so the name Malomo, I looked it up. So it's African, which means do not go away or do not go anywhere?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, so, and funny story, so the name actually comes from my mom. She ran a soap business, and so that soap business, she was kind of going through a health problem at the time, and she had to stop working and moved home, but really entrepreneurial spirited and got into soap making. And then when people would come and visit her while she was going through treatments, she'd hand out her latest bar of soap, and she'd launch into these stories and conversations, and you could just tell it really like lit up her spirit when those things happened. So she named that soap company Malomo. Okay. My sister and I asked her, like, where'd that name come from? And she's like, don't know. It just popped in my head one day. And lo and behold, I actually didn't find out till after the name had that meaning of don't go. And it actually plays so well into our mission and our vision, right? Yeah. Which is like, we want to drive these relationships and create lasting customers for the merchants that we work with. So
now, out of all the different marketing channels to focus on, because you come from a background where you were doing a lot of consulting for other companies in the past, what was the opportunity that you saw in shipment tracking?
Yeah, so we kind of, quite frankly, we kind of stumbled into it. So I ran a consulting agency called Sticks and Leaves with my co-founder now, Anthony Smith, and we were working with a lot of early stage companies. Towards the latter half of running that agency, we started working with a lot of direct consumer brands. And they would come to us with, hey, we need to, we're using Shopify and we need to build some custom product or tool to help plug into Shopify to help us power some part of our customer experience or run operations in our company. And so we got exposed to the Shopify ecosystem, and it was just eye-opening to us how large these businesses were. I think a lot of people looked at Shopify as like, if you're running a small mom and pop business, like you're using Shopify. If you're a big player, you're selling through marketplaces like Amazon or Walmart. But we were just blown away by, you'd see these teams of 5 or 10 people doing 5 or 10 million in revenue, and just scaling tremendously fast, but really struggling around that post-purchase experience. And so what we ended up doing was, what if we could build a tracking platform to help them control customer complaints whenever delivery problems occurred? We built a small prototype, gave it to our consulting clients, and we had this aha moment where we saw consumers look at the tracking emails 10, 15, 20 times during a delivery. Having worked with these merchants in the past, they're always looking for an edge on trying to grow their business. In software, we're lucky in that when we sell a customer once, they typically tend to pay you month after month over time.
Right.
In e-commerce, you've got to resell every single customer every single time you want to drive revenue. So we thought, well, what if we could use that customer engagement and actually turn it into a growth asset for the merchant, and kind of turn shipping into this marketing channel. And being an indie in the MarTech of the world,
absolutely.
It kind of made sense.
Okay.
And so that's what we did. Yeah, we combined the two things into this one kind of platform.
So then I've heard Malomo described as a shipping tracking platform, and you've even said it as well. But at the end of the day, are you an e-commerce company, logistics, customer experience, branding, all the above? What would you call yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
All the above. Yeah. I mean, we help so we call ourselves a post-purchase experience platform, but we help our clients kind of manage all of those things, right? Like delivery is kind of an emotional part of the customer journey. When you buy something online, there's this emotion of being super excited, like it's Christmas, but you're also super anxious. Like, did you buy from a reputable brand? You might have just stumbled on an ad on Instagram. You don't actually know if you're going to get the package or whether it's going to be delivered in a time frame that makes any sense. So we help manage that kind of transparent communication. But we also help our clients grow their business, kind of serving as an e-commerce company where we help our clients strategize around how can you cross-sell and upsell to consumers while they're waiting for their current delivery in transit. Can we manage the customer experience at whole so people really feel like they have a really good understanding of their package, and you build trust with that consumer over time? So yes, all of the above is how we kind of look at things.
Now, I've heard you say COVID reset consumer behavior.
Yeah.
And that hundreds of millions of people began ordering products online who weren't ordering before. So, which is obviously a real boon for a company like Malomo. But as we continue to climb out of this sheltering phase of the pandemic, how does that impact your business?
Yeah. So it's a great question. We see the impact in two ways. COVID reset expectations, and it created this new buying behavior where people who traditionally may not have bought online felt very comfortable buying online because they had no other choice. They had to really reacclimate to this new world. And so you saw the percentage of commerce that was happening through digital channels double, triple through this period. As the world opens back up, we don't expect that consumer behavior to really change. We expect this movement that was already in motion of retail moving online to continue. We are seeing a slightly slowed trend, though, with orders as we kind of get back to this new normal, where COVID sent e-commerce here, where the normal trajectory might have been here. It's resetting, so it's going back to that normal, but it's still on that acceleration trend.
I mean, I would expect, during the pandemic, like you said, hundreds of millions of people were now ordering online. But in addition to ordering like cameras and computers, they were ordering soap and household cleaners and food, and like, I order some of that stuff online too, but I may not be looking at my phone every 5 minutes to see, where my Doritos are. Right. But if I'm ordering something that I really care about, I mean, and once I figure out that like that can be a key part of the ordering process, that I would think that is something that would keep people coming back again and again.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So since founding the company 4 years ago, Malomo's raised over $8 million in 3 rounds. Yeah. You've received 2 Amir Awards. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And very recently made it into the SMB Tech 50 list, which is actually another pretty cool accomplishment too. What do you equate all this rapid growth to? What is it about Malomo that was the right idea for the right time?
Yeah, it's a great question. So you had this. I think we there's quite a bit of luck in there, right? Like we were lucky in that we had spent a lot of time in the Shopify ecosystem early on, pre-COVID, and we saw this trend in e-commerce accelerating at a pretty rapid pace. You had this consumer behavior that had been set with Amazon and making people feel very comfortable buying online. And we were in the right place at the right time. We had tailwinds from COVID, right? Like that obviously helped our growth trajectory. But I think another big part of it was a team that we were able to put in place, and really attack the concept as quickly as we could. Like it was obvious that people were really comfortable buying a lot of things. They discover new products and services through digital channels like Facebook and Instagram. And these merchants, like I said before, they were experiencing such under the radar growth that like we were just lucky to be in that ecosystem as it was starting to advance. And so a lot of what we did was pay attention to customer needs and work as fast as humanly possible to serve those needs. And then this I think the story goes, you can't time a market. Like you can just be in the space that you hope experiences that level of growth. So I think the combination of all those things has helped really drive our.
Certainly there was some luck. You were in the right place at the right time, but if you're in the right place at the right time with a bad idea and no execution, then, so obviously you had some of the pieces together and some of your experience from past companies as well.
Yeah.
So in the early days of Malomo, you were interviewed by TechPoint, and we asked you why you chose to take on investors with Malomo, because in the past, like with other companies like Sticks and Leaves, you were bootstrapped.
Yeah.
So what was the decision process and how has it played out? Why did you decide to take on investment this time around, and what's been the impact?
Yeah. So one of the reasons that we decided to take investment this time around was that we saw the market emerging in very quickly. In software, you tend to see winner takes all or winner take most happening, and I feel like we just discovered this like hidden opportunity that was in plain sight, and so we really wanted to move aggressively and kind of set a leadership position with our brand and our product, and you just can't do that bootstrapping. You've got to move slower. You got to move more judiciously. And so we just knew that we really wanted to move fast and take advantage of the opportunity. We also felt like, having partners who could help us scale at that pace was going to be paramount to our success. Right. We were fortunate to know the team at High Alpha and Hyde Park before we'd started the company and shared early visions. And I think their expertise around email marketing, around SaaS, we could learn years worth of things without having to kind of make mistakes. Right. And so those partnerships have been tremendous. It's helped with recruiting. They've introduced us to hires. It's helped with our brand and recruiting in the India ecosystem as well. They've helped us steer on corners and understand how we can navigate problems as we experience growth. We've gotten customer introductions, and so it's been just a tremendous experience partnering with these folks and figuring out how to grow the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no sense bringing on a big check unless that check also includes some expertise or experience or customers.
Yes.
Because it's going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so you work with companies. You mentioned one like Shopify and Klaviyo, and they were once scaling up technology companies too. Shopify is now publicly traded. Klaviyo, their last raise was a Series D at $320 million, that's a mega round.
Yeah.
These companies appear to be in it for the long haul. Where do you see Malimo in 5-10 years?
Yeah, I'd love to build a pillar company in Indy. Indy's been great to me, and I've learned so much and made so many connections here that I think it's important to continue that innovation streak here in Indianapolis. My co-founder and I, we are trying to build a large, independent, durable business. And for the pure fact of we really love this problem and we believe in the mission, and we want to spend decades trying to figure out how to crack the code around this. The way that we look at the business is Shopify made it really, really easy for anybody, small mom and pop shop, all the way up to big public companies, independent retailers, to build and scale their commerce businesses. And drive people to the buy button. We want to do the exact same thing for post-purchase, right? Help those small mom and pop retailers all the way up to the big independent companies craft these experiences that delight and entertain and communicate to their end consumers. And so that's what our end goal is to do that here in Indianapolis.
Cool. So you mentioned Indianapolis. Let's talk a little bit about your professional journey.
Yeah.
You grew up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
After your parents immigrated to the U.S., but you came to Indiana to go to school, and you went to Rose-Hulman, and you studied civil engineering.
Yes, yeah.
Which is an obvious connect to what you're doing right now, right?
Yeah,
but what drew you to the school?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I had never heard of it. I played soccer really competitively.
Yeah, you were a soccer player.
And I was dead set on going to the coast. My parents were like, I feel like many immigrant parents.
They kept you grounded.
Yeah, right. You're going to an Ivy League school. You're studying. You're studying medicine. You're studying law. You're studying accounting.
Right.
And so lo and behold, we were at a tournament. And the coach at Rose-Hulman saw I had listed architecture, engineering, math, and science as like interest areas, and he beelined it to my dad and kind of sold my dad on, hey, you got to come for a school visit, and came down to the school and was just blown away at both the academics and the athletics. Like the Colts had their training, their summer training.
Yeah, at the time, that's right.
At Rose-Hulman, and the facilities were immaculate because of that, and I just felt like I got that great combination of both athletics and academics.
Cool.
So that's why I chose the school. Yeah.
So with the focus on civil engineering, what prompted you to look into the Orr Fellowship? Because you're an Orr Fellow.
Yeah. So civil engineering, I love the intersection of art and like math and science. And so civil engineering was that great combination where you could design these beautiful buildings and then do the hard math and science about how they get built and stand the test of time. I really wanted to start a company as well, and I knew it'd take forever to launch a civil engineering company, and I'm pretty impatient. So around my junior year, I looked for opportunities to kind of get off that career path. And again, as luck would have it, saw a job posting for the Orr Fellowship. And it just looked like a dream opportunity to just get off that career path, dip my toe into entrepreneurship, learn from the best. And I applied having no expectations that I'd have a shot. I was assuming it'd be all IU Kelly grads, right? Finance or business backgrounds, but I was determined, and luckily had 4 job offers, all taking me out of Indiana. And the one that was here was the Orr Fellowship, and felt like I couldn't pass it up.
Right.
Yeah.
And that job, was that City Securities
City
Corporation?
Securities, yeah.
So tell me what you did there and what did you learn?
So I was a financial analyst there. Again, great segue.
Yeah.
Civil engineer.
Yeah.
But I worked in their corporate finance group. It's a City's an investment bank. And the corporate finance group helped kind of growth stage companies with mergers and acquisitions, as well as raising private equity, debt, and venture capital.
Right. So that had to feed your entrepreneurial spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a great kind of first step into the business world, and really helped kind of set that foundation.
So after City Securities, you start your first company, Pocket Tales, along with Anthony Smith.
Yep.
So talk to me about the inspiration behind that platform and what lessons you learned from that.
Yeah, so Pocket Tales is an online reading game for kids. We actually came up with the idea at a startup weekend. I don't know if those still happen or not.
Yeah, they do. I don't know who's doing them right now, but yeah.
Yeah, so the startup weekend was you go to this event and try to build a company in a weekend. The original idea was to take children's books and turn them into iPhone apps. So this was right around the time that the iPhone had just started accepting third-party developers. Nobody knew how to create like businesses on top of this platform, but it was just like really cool and interesting. And so we decided to kind of take a stab at that. Did some customer interviewing, and the first thing out of parents' mouths was, "This is really impressive, but I'm not going to give my kid a $600 device." Right. Yeah. There's no way.
And now they all have them.
And now they all have, it's like the modern,
and they have iPads and
now schools are going to one-to-one.
Yeah. You were just ahead of the game on that one. Yeah.
Too early. Too ahead of our time. So that was it.
Okay.
And for the idea.
And so Anthony Smith was a part of that company as well, right? Yeah. So he's been a fixture throughout your entire professional career. So can you talk to me about how the two of you met and have worked collaboratively? Yeah,
so he, so I had started Pocket Tales, and he had actually joined me with that company later.
Okay.
The way he tells it, I think he saw a random article about what we were doing. He's a developer by background, and really wanted to start a company.
He's a Purdue guy.
Yeah, Purdue guy. Yeah. Purdue grad. Yeah, and saw the article, and he's a huge, voracious reader, and so that intersection of like reading and tech was like perfect. And so he just reached out to me. We grabbed coffee, hit it off. And became fast friends. And over the course of about 3 months, just really talked through partnering together, and it really felt right, and joined forces. Yeah.
3 companies later, you're still working together. So
still in the trenches,
So after Pocket Tales, you then started a consulting firm called Sticks and Leaves. Yeah. What inspired you to go in that direction instead of starting another software company?
Yeah, so funny enough, Anthony actually started Sticks and Leaves. Okay. He was doing some independent consulting when he and I met. And so, we did not have funding for Pocket Tales at the time. Right. So we, nights and weekends we were working on Pocket Tales, and we needed money to come in so that we could continue to do things. And so since he was already kind of consulting on the side, he said, well, why don't we just bring in a few more consulting projects, and we can sustain ourselves in that way. And the consulting business took off pretty immediately. We landed contracts with Rolls-Royce and a couple early stage companies, hired some folks, and continued to like incubate Pocket Tales inside of Sticks and Leaves. And as these things go, we it's hard to run 2 companies at once. Yeah. So what ended up happening is the consulting business got all the love and the attention, and in Pocket Tales, we just weren't able to continue to devote the resources that it needed to thrive and get the traction. And so we ended up shutting down Pocket Tales and going full force at Sticks and Leaves. And over the course of about 7 years, built about 100 different web and mobile SaaS products. Yeah. Reaching about 15 employees at its peak.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you next. So, you helped launch mobile experiences for some pretty big companies. You mentioned Rolls-Royce, Amplify, Cluster Truck, CoachX. What were some of the unique challenges in pivoting between these different industries? And what about that experience laid the foundation for starting Malomo?
Yeah, so I think one of the most exhilarating but most challenging things about consulting when you're working in a lot of those different industries is you gotta start from zero every time, right? You've got to have a beginner's mindset and really try to understand the customer pain points, the market dynamics from kind of this first principles viewpoint. And you rely on the companies that you're partnering with to give you some of those insights. The beauty of that is you get to try your hand at a lot of different solutions, and you get to see how a lot of different markets intersect or don't. And that convergence, I think, helps you inspire new ideas. And you kind of build this muscle for thinking creatively.
Right.
And so those were really helpful. We, oddly enough, a lot of the companies that we worked with, so Blue Bridge, Cluster Truck, Amplify, CoachX, they were all B2B2C companies.
Yeah.
They were building software that they sold to other businesses, but they're delivering a consumer experience to the end users, which is what Malomo is.
Right.
Like we are selling software to e-commerce marketers, but they are trying to deliver really unique experiences to their end consumers. So just that experience was just, you can't buy that.
Right.
It again, talking about that luck thread, we were fortunate to get the opportunity to be able to do that, dozens of times for our consulting clients and get really, really good at managing both of those audiences and stakeholders with a technology product.
And I think you referred to it early on in the interview, but at some point a light went off and you were like, wait a minute, there's a whole piece here that we can solve for. Yes. And so it was time to shift gears from sticks and leaves to Malomo.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
All right, so let's shift gears again. I want to focus on another bit of news that you had recently. Back in January, you announced that Malomo was going to pivot to a 4-day work week for 6 months. Curious to know what originally prompted you to explore a shorter work week.
Yeah, so we were not thinking about a 4-day work week at the time. We were talking through this as a team. There was just so much happening just in the macro environment that we felt like we really needed to prioritize our team's kind of mental health and well-being. And so we were talking through ways in which we could do that and as a leadership team, and we were throwing around ideas. And one of the ideas was, should we take a week off in one of the upcoming months? Or should we take a couple days off? And we did it primarily in anticipation of the Super Bowl season of e-commerce, which is the holidays. So in September, what we did was, we decided to use that as a month to really help our team recharge and energize. As we were talking through that, two of my leadership team members came to me separately and said, "Hey, have you heard about this 4-day work week? And what do you think about it?" And we had very transparent conversations in my mind. I'm like, this sounds really great, but there's no way, there's no way we're doing this. But when they both came independently, it kind of made me pause and think, well, maybe we should consider this a little bit more deeply. And so we had a lot of conversations, and it ended up saying, okay, we don't know if we're ready for this, but let's dip our toe into this a little bit. We'll dub September Mental Health Month. We'll take 1 day off a week for the entire month, and we'll kind of run a test. We're not going to tell the company that we're running this test. We're just going to tell them we're just prepping for the holidays. What ended up happening was kind of eye-opening. That month, we surveyed the team afterwards, asked them questions around do you feel like you're more or less productive? Do you feel like your mental health was in a better place or not? Did you have more time to spend with your family, and did you feel like you got enough done at work? And resounding yes across all those categories. So then we looked at company performance, and in September we broke company records, right? Most sales. Highest number of marketing leads, biggest product launches that we'd had. And so we thought, we can't ignore this data. This seems like our employees are happier, and they're delivering better results for the company. We've got to think through this a little bit more. And so that's when we decided to maybe do a longer test. You know, we still weren't, as a company, we didn't want to just fully commit to something without knowing potential repercussions over the long term. And so we decided to run a 6-month test. We're coming up on month 6 at the end of June. Surveyed the team and continue to get really, really positive, impactful results.
Well, and I think, you know, a lot of us who work in tech have had the experience during the pandemic that, especially if you're working remotely, you know, you can be working anytime.
Yes.
And sometimes it takes someone to tell you to shut it off to where you actually take a break.
Yes.
And you probably were getting tons more productivity out of your employees, especially if they like their job.
Yes.
Because they're going to just jump in and they're going to work and work and work because they can see results.
Yep.
And so I think you did your company, you did your employees a world of so much.
Yeah.
You did them so much good by telling them to turn off.
I appreciate that.
So you're about at the end of that 6 months.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going great. It's going really well. When we talk to the team, you know, they all seem very, very happy about it. Like we asked point blank, should we continue to do this? And 100% of the employees said yes.
No one said they wanted to work another day a week.
Surprising, right? Shocking. But we continue to see really fantastic results inside the company. One of the things that was unexpected for me is that, you know, I think people think about 4-day work weeks as it's easier, right? It's you get 1 day off a week. What it actually is it's more intense, right? Like you are trying to accomplish the same amount of output in 4 days, not like 4 days in 40 hours. It's 4 days in 32 hours. So you've got to be really militant with your time. You got to remove roadblocks within the team. You've got to think more creatively about solutions because you don't have a lot of time to work on them. And people go fast for 4 days because they also know they've got 3 full days to recover. They have 1 day where they can just turn off and not think about things, and then they have the whole weekend to do personal things.
So you're not telling them to work an extra 2 hours every day to make up for lost time.
Right.
Are you, does everyone take the same day off?
Yes.
So it's Friday or Monday
Friday.
or okay.
Yeah, that was a discussion point inside the company too. Like, should we scatter or rotate days off? And one of the things that we heard was, well, if one person's not working 1 day, they're inevitably going to feel a pull to come back in because the whole company's still working, right?
Yeah.
So we all decided it's got to be 1 day the whole company's off, so you can turn off.
What have been some of the unexpected benefits of this experiment so far?
Yep. So there are a couple. There are less meetings inside the company. That's a big one.
Yeah. It's got to be a relief for a lot of people.
You got to be 100% focused on the most important things. People prioritize, right? The work that's most impactful. We as a management team have to think very clearly about where we aim the company because there's just less time to do things, and so you prioritize the highest impact things. And the other thing, and you know, I have a running joke inside my own head that, you know, I hope many companies adopt this, but I also hope they don't. We get a ton of recruiting benefits.
Right.
A ton of recruiting benefits. Our sales leader, when we were hiring for, we were kind of almost tripling our sales team, put out a post around what we're doing, and the post went viral, right? We got 300 applicants for 6 positions. And that sort of kind of recruiting power, the type of talent that you might attract, is unparalleled. So that's been another unexpected benefit of the program.
So you said you do want other companies to adopt it for the health of employees, but in a way you don't because you like the competitive advantage you have and you're a true entrepreneur, and I appreciate that. But have you seen other companies that have taken on the 4-day work week as well here in Indy? Yes.
So I've gotten a flood of messages from folks, and it's polarizing. Right? Like there are some people who think like, no, like why would you do that? It just seems like, you are not going to serve your customers as well. Your employees, they might not want to dictate a day off.
Yeah.
I've seen lots of commentary around it. A lot of folks who haven't done it before. But I've also gotten the other side of the equation where a lot of companies have reached out to us for guidance and insights around like how to structure these things. And people have taken the plunge. And so
you bring up a good point, though. So if you're a software company and you've got users, those users aren't taking Friday off. Yeah. Some of those users aren't taking Saturday and Sunday off. So if they have a problem with your software, how do they get it resolved?
So we still have round-the-clock coverage.
Got it.
So what we do is we rotate customer support staff and engineers who are on call on those Fridays. And so we still have the same SLAs to deliver customer support responses. We still solve problems for our customers on those Fridays. What's been interesting is we tend to see the lowest volume of support tickets on Fridays.
Yeah.
So
makes sense.
So although we do have that support there, we don't see a ton of volume from our customers on Fridays.
Makes sense. I get the fewest emails on Friday.
Yeah. Everyone's kind of winding down for the week.
So do you think Indy can be a leader in this 4-day work week? Or
yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've got an opportunity to kind of set a trend. I feel like the Midwest spirit. It's hardworking, humble, hungry, smart.
Yeah.
And we'd like to take care of our people. I would love for Indianapolis to be like an eco center for this type of new way of thinking and working. I think it has a lot of benefits for the morale of employees and the output production of these companies. And if we can continue to be that powerhouse in Indianapolis, I think the trend for the ecosystem at large will be pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very hopeful.
Cool.
Yeah.
And hopefully it helps you to continue to attract new employees to come work for you. So
yes, yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, I appreciate your time today, Al, for coming in and talking to us, and just wish you guys continued success.
Yes.
And we're glad to see that you're here in Indy and you've made this your home or Indiana your home, and you continue to grow here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. This is a lot of fun.